reasons why my marriage failed in the beginning, part four, and why yours is probably on the rocks right now. Let me explain. My name is Karina F. Days. I'm a relationship expert, and I help you solve the number one conflict in your relationship. And as embarrassing as it is to share with y'all, the truth is that in the beginning of my marriage, I controlled our sex life without even knowing that I was controlling our sex life. You see, if I wasn't in the mood, we wouldn't have sex. If I didn't want us to be intimate, I would reject my husband and we wouldn't be intimate. And it took some time for me to realize that this was not only ruining our marriage, but it was ruining my husband's confidence. It was affecting him and us in ways that were very difficult for me to comprehend. But over time, I realized that being intimate with your partner is a form of connection. It's a form of being one. And here I was on my mighty horse saying that we couldn't do this until I was in the mood. And what I want you to realize is that you're waiting to be in the mood to be intimate. But what if being intimate is the very thing that gets you in the mood? You see, you're waiting for this intense amount of desire to be there in order to have sex with your partner when desire is waiting for you on the other side of taking action and connecting with your partner. You understand me? This is exactly the work that I want to do with you in my private one-on-one coaching program. I want to help you come up with the exact communication strategies it's going to take for you and your partner to be on the same page to talk about difficult things like intimacy.
So I kind of want to read some of this caption here because it actually seems to describe in detail some of the stuff that people may be facing in this space. So, putting out a story like this, you argue for the fourth time about the bills and immediately feel frustrated and not in the mood to have sex. Your money problems don't end up being solved, and neither of you experience orgasming that night. He forgets to ask you if you want something to eat as they pick themselves something up on the way home. You feel offended that they don't care about you, argue, and sleep on the opposite ends of the bed that night. He doesn't get to learn why this matters so much to you, and you don't get a chance for him to apologize with his tongue that night. If you want to stop arguing, getting offended, and sitting in your resentment, you need to reverse engineer your issues.
I have some questions for you, actually.
Sure.
With what she said. So yeah. I think this is really good. So for those of you who are joining us for the very first time, listen, I'm 54, Sean's 24. And we feel like one of the things that we like to do is talk about subjects around our faith. First and foremost, we're believers. And so we like to pick subjects and then we want to talk about them in hopes to be able to bring some clarity to you, help you, and at a minimum, get you to start thinking down a pathway that we believe is going to be helpful and right for you. And this particular instance, Sean, I would say, so Sean is not married and currently single. I am married, 33 years with the same person, just as we alluded to, just celebrated 2 days ago, my 32nd wedding anniversary. And for all of the married people out there, before you jump in and say everybody's situation isn't the same, you are right. But what we want to do is we want to talk about what she had to say here, Sean. And so as a young person who's been out there, you've heard these things, you guys are online, sex is almost always top of mind when it comes to young people, especially young men. When they get married, boy, it's going to go down. I'm going to be doing this, that, and the third, so on and so forth. And she just kind of dropped a bomb on a whole bunch of dudes, young men in particular, who might have heard something like this for the very first time, that when she wasn't in the mood, nothing was happening. Like nothing was happening. This might have messed with some people's mind. Now, I'm curious to know, had you as a young man, young unmarried man, has any of this ever crossed your mind at all in any way, shape, or form, that you would be like, woo-wee, I can't wait to get home. But she like, yeah, no, I ain't in the mood.
Yeah. So we've had our plethora of conversations, so I know that I've learned that it's a possibility. But and to kind of refrain from maybe intellectualizing this, I've never really figured or considered, what I'm saying, like, how would I respond in that situation? I'm coming home, it's a long day, I got a beautiful wife at home, and man, we about to get it on, man, and she ain't in the mood because of something, of an issue, a conversation, an argument that is unresolved. And so now not only is like everything short, but now it seems like everything up to that point is also an issue. It's irritable An argument is just like, it's just waiting to take place, whether spoken or unspoken. And so I've never really considered it, man. And to be honest, I don't know exactly how I would go about it, because I know me. I've learned enough about me to know that I have a capacity. You know, when people get into arguments or something is said, you know, you either have somebody who's a stormtrooper, walks out. You have somebody that maybe you know, they turn up with you. They match the energy in the room. They go silent. Everything turns into an internalizing matter. They ask you what's wrong. Nothing. I'm fine. I'm fine. You know, those kinds of things. Or where I feel like I've fit in more is trying to solve the problem in the moment. I'm more of like, hey, we need to talk about this. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is here. It's now. Why don't we just go ahead and get it out the way instead of just leaving it up in the air and wanting to go? Now, of course, there was a time where I was more of like a, you know, leave it up in the air and not really discuss it, sometimes internalize it. But because I've been in enough situations where it's just been beneficial for me to just attack it in the moment, I've grown to do that. And so that's kind of more of where I'm at now. So, but to consider that, and she's not even willing to talk. She's not willing to unpack anything. It's like, well, what do I do? And so, yeah, I've never considered that, man, to be honest, or how I would handle that rejection, because I know that that's a real thing.
And I think that you're not alone in that, because there are a lot of, I'm telling you, there's a lot of young guys like yourself who are like, yo, man, she tripping. No, she's not tripping. This is a real thing for couples over, especially as you start to introduce children into that relationship, man. And so let me just give you a couple of scenarios that she didn't even mention. One of those scenarios could be you had children, right? And let's just say she's a stay-home mom, right? But she's been with kids all day. You've been at work all day. You come home, she's been with a screaming kid all day. She's been changing diapers, poop, washing clothes, doing all this kind of stuff, made sure you had dinner. All this other kind of good stuff is popping and cracking. And she gets home, man, and she's like, man, shoot, I've been with this baby all day. You come home, get this baby for about 45 minutes, because kids typically go to sleep between 6 or 7 babies, right? They knock out, unless there's an issue. And so she's like, man, I'm at the end of the day, and you talking about, man, I'm trying to get some. She done for the day, right? That's one possibility. The other one is that you both work and you got babies. Now you both work and you got babies. She's got to come home, take care of the baby, potentially make dinner if you're not the one who makes dinner. Maybe if you just can't cook, she probably don't want your dinner. She's like, nah, I got it, because we don't want you making cereal, right? So, you know, you got to be over here and do what you do. Now you got this tension. On top of that, she may be premenstrual. She may be coming up on her cycle. Now she cramping. She don't feel good. All this other kind of good stuff. And you thinking, man, before this thing come through, though, I'm trying to, you know, just real quick, right? Yeah. But she like, nah, ain't nothing happening, brother. Like, I don't feel good at all. I'm bloated. I feel heavy. All this other kind of good stuff. And you like, yo, so like, what's going on here? So you're starting to feel this rejection. I'm gonna get to that point in just a minute. But see, Sean, this is why these kind of conversations need to happen. And it may seem to somebody like, I don't need to have none of that, because, you know, man, I just be smashing when I smash or whatever, you know, or whatever. All this, because that's just in the context of a marriage, man, it just don't go down like that. But she made some points that I do want to bring up, especially in her after conversation where she went further in her video, the stuff that you just read, because she was like, you have a fight about finances, right? You have a fight about you didn't take the trash out. The baby didn't do this. You didn't do that or whatever. She says something that's really powerful in there, Sean. Pull it. Can you pull those comments back up real quick?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I want to say it verbatim. Okay, so here's what she said. I like this. Stop waiting for all your marital issues to be resolved before you have sex. Because here's what happens with people. We start to punish the other person. And this can happen on both sides. Typically, though, I'm going to be honest with you, having coached, counseled, right, pastored multiple people, typically it's the woman on this side. You know, basically, you ain't getting none. She's just letting you know you ain't getting none because you didn't do this or you didn't do that or whatever, whatnot. So she's holding you hostage to this situation. It's interesting because she made mention of the fact that she realized that she didn't realize the depth of the impact that this was having on her husband. But I think that most women do, and that's the very reason why they withhold it, because they're like, yeah, I know the impact that this is having on you by not allowing this to take place. But I love what she said. And then she says here, you argue for the fourth time about bills and immediately feel frustrated and not in the mood. Now, I love what she said. She was like, yo, don't wait to get in the mood. Here's what the problem is. You're going to have challenges and difficulties. So an intimate life in a marriage, man, requires two very intentional, healthy, emotional, and spiritual people, man, who realize that my marriage is the most important thing to me. This here, she's not talking about any kind of abuse, any kind of verbal, mental, physical thing. You just had an argument about bills, right? About something either was missed being paid, wasn't paid, or you spent something. You don't want to punish that other person by saying, well, you can't have me unless you take care of these other things. I think this is really important. So I love what she had to say regarding that. But a lot of couples suffer with this whole thing right here, man. They struggle with this because that's exactly what they do. They're like, no, I'm about to punish you. You are straight up about to be punished over this situation right here. And it's unhealthy, man, on so many different levels. The people never recover from it. A lot of times, man, that thing, that other video that you and I are going to do that we just read about, the lady who talked about the 80% of women who get divorced become side chick, bruh, that's crazy right there. Because listen, the reality of it is, you know why that happens? These people, Sean, don't realize that they really don't realize you probably got 80% of what you want in this person, and the other 20% is difficult. But sometimes you will leave the 80, start all over again at 0, and might never reach the 80 again. Does that make sense to you?
Tough.
So you got 80% of what you want in this current relationship, but now you backed out of it because you let arguments get in the way of you connecting intimately. Now, there might be somebody for sure who watches this and be like, well, that's all they want. They just all they no. You got it wrong. And so I just want to clarify for you that if one of the ways that men communicate is through intimacy, where women in another way communicate differently than that. When men don't have this connection, that's one of the ways for us to really genuinely connect with the women that we are with. And so a lot of times they're looking at it like that's all you want. Here's my question to any lady out there who says that's all my husband wants. Here's my question. Where else is he supposed to get it from? That's where else is he supposed to get it from? Is he supposed to go somewhere else and get it? Because if he does that, then that's problematic for you. So you saying that that's all he wants. See, this is where the confusion comes in, because he wants you. That doesn't mean that you guys won't have challenges or struggles or whatnot. But when we withhold intimacy from one another, I think we get out of pocket on that, right? There's a scripture that tells us this, 1 Corinthians 7:5. This scripture right here is very helpful to us, man, because there are a lot of people who, again, man, they weaponize their body, man. They weaponize their intimacy with their spouse, right? And I think that this is wrong, right? Because here it is, right here. This is what it says to us, Sean, right? It makes it very plain to us, gives it to us straight up. Here's what it says, right? Do not deprive each other except for perhaps mutual consent for a time, so that you may devote yourselves to prayer. Then come together again, so that Satan will not tempt you because of your lack of self-control. This is so interesting, right? There's a couple of things in here. It says, do not deprive this other person. Don't use your body as a weapon. And again, I'm mostly talking to women. Women are the one who mostly use this and do this. Now, there's going to be some women who probably get mad at that. But you know, the only why you're mad is because you do it. You're like, in order for me to get him in line, this is what I need him to do. And if I ain't in the mood, as she alluded to, then he just got to figure something out. He got to go do something, go watch football, go take a cold shower, whatever, all this other kind of good stuff or whatever. But I'll be honest with you, Sean, if a woman cares about her relationship and different things along those lines, she does other things she don't feel like doing. If her girlfriends call her and they like, girl, we gonna do this, that, and the other, she get up and go, right? Do all these other kind of things. But you're like, yeah, I don't feel like doing that. And this isn't to tell somebody that I'm saying in no way, shape, or form that if you're sick or you have something going on with you physically or whatever, or that you just can't say, hey, you know, not tonight. But you know what? Let me tell you something, Sean, that a lot of women maybe know. And if they don't, this is the first time for them to hear. This is also good for the young guys so that you can keep your hopes up. You can say, hey, you know what? Tonight, I'm just tired, right? I just don't have anything for you. I want to be present with you. Can we do this tomorrow? Now you said no, but you left the pathway open for the next day. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Now there's no conflict. And if you did have let's say you had a conflict about bills and all this other kind of stuff that she was talking about, guess what happened, Sean? Now, man, you got a pathway to even have that conversation further while still with the promise of, hey, tomorrow, me and you can come together. We can be together. I think this is really important, man, that married people look at this and they understand it, because that rejection, okay, this is going to be tough. This is going to be tough, Sean. On something, you keep rejecting a man, you just keep rejecting him. You just keep rejecting. You keep punishing him because of a disagreement that you have out of this. I promise you, another woman, and you might be thinking, if he was a man of God, he wouldn't. No. Because I could say the same thing as if you were a woman of God. The passage of scripture that we just read would apply to you, which says, do not deprive one another, except for even through prayer is what it says, for a season of prayer. That's what it says. It didn't give any other reason for that outside of the things that we know that are obvious. Again, for some type of sickness, ailment, menstrual cycle, different things along those lines. These are things that are obvious, right? Nobody, hopefully you don't have anybody who can't understand that, comprehend that. But truthfully, man, listen, this ideal of, if he can't handle that, no, why'd you get married? That would be my question. What did you get married for? You shouldn't have got married if you don't want a man who wants to be intimate. You shouldn't have got married if you don't want to be intimate. Don't get married. You can't say, this isn't who I am. This isn't what I want. So you go do something else and you got to figure it out. If you love me, you would understand. No. So I love what she said, which is a hard thing for a lot of people to say. She said, I was ruining my marriage. You got to take responsibility for where you are. And the hard part about this is that most of the women that I've worked with, and I can speak to that for sure, most of the women that I've worked with, it's always been an issue with something that he didn't do. He's not doing this. He's not doing that. He ain't making enough money. He's not this and that. And and so on and so forth. Or I didn't get my nails done, or he didn't buy me a purse, or he didn't buy this, or whatever, whatnot, so on and so forth, whatever. Or he told me that we couldn't do that this time, right? And because we needed to put this money for this, that, the other. So if we can't do that, then he can't do this. Bruh, like that's all out of pocket. So now, let me be clear. I'm specifically talking to my sisters in Christ. If you're not a Christian, none of this applies to you. You know why? Because these values don't make any sense to you. But for believers, it does. If you're a believer, this does. Now, if you happen to be watching this and you're an unbeliever and you go, okay, no, I see that. Good for you, right? Good for you. Because now you're getting it. We don't deprive one another. We don't punish our partner intimately wise. But I also want for the young men to understand that there will be a time where when your wife says to you that she's tired, yeah, bruh, there's going to be some times where you're going to have to suck that up. You tired. It is what it is. And hey, it's not happening tonight, right? It's just not happening. So you move on. You do what you got to do. And, you don't punish your wife by ignoring her, gaslighting her, acting like, she don't have any value, because you can't just make her body your value either, right? She got to mean more to you than that. So And that happens. I'll say this too for the married men who are in this place right here, and you haven't been able to get over yourself, whatever. Because I'm gonna be honest with you, Sean. Most of the younger couples, and this always cracks me up, man. I'll be making some of these dudes mad too, because I start chuckling with them. I'm like, bro, you are not going to die. I just want you to know that. Like your life is not going to end because you didn't have sex. It's not going to end. Yeah. You are going to be okay. So hold on tight, buddy. You'll be okay for another day. I promise. You're going to be okay. And plus, you're going to have to go somewhere 3 to 5 days, depending on how long your wife's cycle lasts anyway, pretty much up until she goes into menopause. And then when she goes into menopause, that's a whole nother scenario. The whole 9 right there, brother. So yeah, she having hot flashes and all kinds of stuff or whatnot.
Your blue balls ain't gonna kill you.
Yeah, you just gotta hang on here for a little bit and you're going to be fine. But that's what I would say about this, man.